You ever see a giant skyscraper going up and just wonder, how in the world do they pay for that thing? Well, I can tell you, it's almost never with one giant check. Nope. It's a really fascinating financial engine that actually builds our cities, and it's called drawdown financing. Okay, so let's put you in the driver's seat. Picture it. You're a developer. You've got these amazing blueprints for a $20 million building. You need the loan for sure, but you definitely don't need all that cash on day one. So how do you get the money you need exactly when you need it without paying a ridiculous amount in interest on cash that's just sitting there? And right here, this is the magic. With a normal loan, you'd get the full 20 million bucks up front and bam, you're paying interest on all of it from the second it hits your account. But with drawdown financing, you get the money in stages as you build. And here's the kicker. You only pay interest on the money you've actually used. This is a complete game changer for managing a project's budget. So let's pull back the curtain and see how this whole thing actually works. There's a reason this is the industry standard. It's a super carefully structured system for using the bank's money in the most efficient way possible. So let's put the official name on it, drawdown financing. Basically, the lender approves the whole loan, but they hang on to the cash. They only release it to you in chunks, or draws, as your project hits specific, pre-agreed upon milestones. I really like this way of thinking about it. The financing literally grows right alongside the building. You pour the foundation, you get a draw of cash. You get the steel frame up, you get another draw. The money keeps pace with the actual physical work. You know, this whole process is kind of like a carefully choreographed dance between the borrower, that's the developer, and the lender, the bank. Each of them has very specific steps they have to follow to keep the music playing and the project moving. So let's break down the steps of that dance. First things first, both sides agree on something called the draw schedule. The entire project gets broken down into these key phases. So you can see here, pouring the foundation might unlock the first 15% of the loan. Getting the framing done gets you the next 25%. This schedule is basically the roadmap for the entire project. So how do you actually get the cash for each stage? Well, it's a pretty intense 4-step process. First, the borrower has to submit a mountain of paperwork. We're talking invoices, proof they pay their subcontractors, all of it. Then, and this is so important, an independent inspector actually goes to the site to confirm the work is really done. After that, the title company does a check for any legal claims. And only after all those boxes are ticked does the lender finally release the funds. Now, I know what you're thinking. All that paperwork and inspection sounds like a huge headache, but it's not just bureaucracy. The whole system is designed with these built-in safety nets. I mean, the bank is lending millions of dollars, right? They need to be absolutely sure their money is being used the right way and that their investment is secure at every single stage. Let's look at a couple of those key safety nets. One of the most powerful tools in their toolbox is something called retainage. It means the lender will usually hold back about 10% from every single payment they make to a contractor. It might sound a little harsh, but it's actually a brilliant insurance policy. So that 10% is held back until the project is totally finished. This gives the contractor a huge incentive to come back and fix any little nagging issues or finish up that final punch list. They want that last big payment, so you know they're going to finish the job perfectly. Okay, here's another really clever part of the loan, the interest reserve. Think about it. A new building doesn't make any money until it's done and people are moving in. So how on earth does the developer pay the loan interest every month during construction? Well, the loan itself actually includes this special bucket of money set aside just for making those payments. It's absolutely critical for managing cash flow. And of course, we all know construction almost never goes exactly to plan. That's why every single loan has a contingency reserve baked in, usually around 5 to 10% of the hard costs. This is the project's emergency fund for all the stuff you can't predict. A sudden spike in lumber prices, a surprise buried under the job site, you name it. So this whole system is really designed to run like a well-oiled machine. But, just like in any dance, sometimes a partner stumbles. What happens when things go wrong? Because, let's be real, when you're juggling this much money, super tight timelines, and all these different teams, that dance can absolutely grind to a halt. And this is where the risks in construction lending get very, very real. And these are some of the classic missteps. You might have a contractor trying to overdraw, getting paid for work they haven't actually finished. Or an unpaid subcontractor could file what's called a lien against the property, which can freeze all payments. Sometimes unapproved changes just blow up the budget. Or worst of all, the developer could just plain run out of money before the building's even done. Any one of these can create a massive mess for everyone involved.
But despite all those risks, when the dance goes smoothly, the financial benefits are just undeniable. So let's look at how the numbers really add up in the end.
You know, this quote really nails it. The whole structure is designed to be a win-win. The lender limits their risk because they're only releasing money as real value is created, and the borrower gets the cash they need while saving a ton on interest payments, which in the real estate world, they call interest carry.
And that benefit becomes crystal clear when you just look at the raw numbers. For our $20 million loan, if you took all the money up front, you'd be looking at about $1.8 million in interest for the year. But by drawing it down over time, your average loan balance is way lower, which basically cuts your interest cost in half.
So what does this actually mean? Well, on this one project, this drawdown structure saves the developer almost $500,000 in interest. That's real cash that can go straight to the bottom line. And that is why this whole complicated dance is absolutely worth it. So we've seen how the system is designed to protect everybody and make financial sense. But it does leave us with one last question to chew on. In this complicated dance between the developer and the bank, when a project hits a major, unexpected problem, who really holds the power to decide what happens next?